All right, everybody, welcome. Today I wanted to show you this that you may have seen me working on. I leaked some teaser pics on my Facebook page. It is a Aston Martin electric concept car. So everybody's coming out with fully electric, everything, including supercars. So this concept is an idea on what an Aston Martin fully electric might look like down the road. So you'll notice some particular cues, especially the Aston Martin, Vantage sort of design cue that they put in here with that intake right after the front wheel. You also see some signature, kind of the, they're not spokes, but that kind of line that you'll see in the wheels where it comes out and makes an angle. And of course the characteristic front, which for an electric, how much intake does it need? Doesn't really matter. I don't know. But for a concept, I just wanted to kind of play with something really bold and big, and also imagine some of how the proportions might change. So you'll see in here there's a really deep kind of cut back in. That's definitely new, and I'm not sure how consistent that really is, but it's just something that evolved. I'm going to show you in a second here some of the other sketches that go along with it. You'll see a really tight and high cut roof line. You'll see obviously the lights of the future are in there and some really intense kind of front ground effects here. So this is done on vellum on two sides. So it's really thin vellum paper. You can see it's rendered on both sides. And if you've seen any of my other videos, you know how that's done, and you can check any of those videos out to see how the two-sided rendering process works. So this is Prismacolor pencil, Prismacolor chalk, and Prismacolor marker, white gouache for the highlights. And the chalk is shaved down with an X-Acto blade and applied with Weebrel pad, which you can learn about in my other videos. So let me show you some of the sketches that brought me to this point. So I got a bunch here. I'm going to go through some of these and just show you what led to that main design. So here's the one right before, and this is just a rough sketch that is also on vellum, but you'll see on this side, there's probably 5 or 6 different versions where I'm working off one side, flipping it over, and doing it on the other. This one I just kind of did the white highlights just for fun because it's my favorite part. And after you've drawn it like a million times, you just want to see something that's kind of finished. But you'll see here a lot of these cues that carried through to the orange one. I've got a little bit more pronounced, hood on this one, and I have a lot of things that I would like to change on this one. But now it's done, so I'm never touching it again. But I think this rear line here should come back, and these haunches should be pronounced farther out from the car. Also in my blue rendering here, this bold line doesn't really make any sense, so I had to go back and kind of soften that to indicate that it's an indentation. Also the wheels, I much like these wheels better. I think I got a little out of control with these sort of more disc-like wheels to imply that they're electric. They still need tons of air to move through them to cool brakes and things like that, but I'd probably go with something more spoke-like in this one. So that's what this one was. This is kind of the scale version that was right before it, drawn on both sides, and this is like, I forget what number, probably 6 or something like that on the big paper. Here's a ton of little sketches, and I'll show you these. Here, come on in close and take a look. In these sketches, this is just one that I did with pencil, or with just a regular Bic pen, and you can see here this one's a lot shorter than the other ones. It's a much smaller body style, and it's got a little bit more recognizable, not as far out kind of traditional front end. This one I didn't get to the white highlights, but it's got some very thin spokes, and it's got the signature kind of cut back there. So that one looks kind of cool. That was fun. This one was just playing with a different electric, kind of concept. This one's way less pronounced, way less extreme. It actually looks like a more regular car, but it's just not bold enough. But I do like what's going on here with these, this cutout right behind the front wheel. Same with this one too. It's too stub nose. It's way too short, but I like this. I like this part. That's pretty cool. I was just toying with a shorter wheelbase for an electric. What would it be? Would it be a little squattier? But does it have teeth? That was a big question for a lot of the designs. Does it maintain that, Aston Martin front with the lines, and how much does it really take away in the minimalist style? Playing with these cutbacks. Look at this. This one's a fairly extreme style. I even had a vent here in the back kind of cutting through, feeding the rear of it. So just way crazy. I like these wheels though, and I like the kind of really intense cuts on this one. This one I started to just do a little bit more lines to indicate where the, how the body was sculpted, and just more of the same on that. Thought about doing like a 2-layer kind of indentation with that kind of like front lip that you recognize from Aston Martins, and also way brought this one deep back into the door just to see what it would look like. And yeah, I don't know. Here's a rear view. I like this one. This one's a little bit more close to the models that you'll probably see here, but I just really like these kind of Stingray looking lights. Not Stingrays in car, but like a Stingray's tail. I thought those were kind of cool and daggery. Here's some more. Just playing with it. Looking, this is where that intake really started to take shape. Putting it way up in there in the back of that door frame. I like the front on this too. I think that's pretty sharp. Here's one with a much more elongated wheelbase and a really slick, kind of rear cutout there right after the wheel. I think that could be pretty cool if rendered. I was messing with the wheels. I messed up the first round and had to do some overlays, but don't tell anybody. Here's some existing models I was just working off of for concept. And you can see in this one, this is where I was really trying to channel some of those spokes. If you Google, there's this really cool evolution of the species poster for the Aston Martin. Obviously, James Bond gets into it, but I'm trying to pick up on a lot of these cues, but also hyper pronounce it, and just imagine as an electric, how might some of this play out differently. And obviously, hey, would James Bond drive it? And if he did, I would say then it's probably okay. So all of that are sort of the background leading up to the to this model. So obviously a lot I would change on it to do over, but I really wanted to bring it through to a fully completed piece. Just in terms of some close-ups, you can see the front lips really cut through there, and there's some parts where it's just way too dark for the lines, like in here. I don't know, I just got crazy on the colored pencil. I think I would soften those up. The lights I would do differently, probably make those a little bit less, but I really like this kind of circular cutout right here. I think that plays really well. I would definitely do different wheels. These are okay, but they're not as forceful, and I think having those raw spokes where you can see through is probably a little bit more aggressive. But in terms of the render, I picked this really bold kind of orange-reddish color where you can see the orange taking precedent in some other places. You'll see some white pencil and different color red and orange pencil that are brought in here to kind of bring some depth and some detail and richness to some of those indentations. On the top, obviously everything is blacked out. It's a concept car. Everything is super tint, super huge wheels, and super tiny tires. Look at those skinny tires. They're like 3/4 of an inch thick. By the way, do you see that? See the tire indicators in there? That's like indicating there's some tread in there. And here's the gouache work you can see going up. It's always a temptation to overdo it when you're doing that white highlight paint at the end. But you do it right, it just works. So anyway, there's a Aston Martin Vantage electric concept car. That's what it is. If you draw your own, I'd love to see it. Post it up on my Facebook or send it to me on the interwebs. Would love to check it out. And thanks for watching. Bye.